back again for another Thursday Think and Link, and I am rather excited about this one, mainly because I, like hopefully you are, or everyone is on their own personal fitness journey, and this is, a very, very big fitness conversation, and food, a big contributor to that, of course. We have Mike and Tori, and we're going to have them introduce themselves, but first we're going to get a little bit of background on why we do this and why you might have shown up here on a random Thursday to have a conversation with these intellectual curiosities. We are a special projects firm here in Minneapolis, Capsule. We do work for companies like Arc'teryx, Patagonia, Hydro Flask, and a variety of others in and around marketing, brand, and design related special projects. So, and we do this to give back to our community, to connect our curious audience to other curious individuals. Anything else I can add to that? Oh, other than, of course, add in your comments, your questions as we go. We'd love to hear it because we're streaming to almost everything we can possibly stream to in the world. So if you can't find us, then it's not our fault anymore. It's everywhere. Everyone should be seeing this. And then I will pass over to my co-host and great friend, Kelly Layton. Take it over.
Thank you, Aaron Keller. And Tori, Mike, so excited to have you guys here. Clearly, Aaron and I didn't get the memo on the sleeveless outfit today, but we're excited. This is my favorite type of gun show. Others I'm not interested in. This one, very excited to have you guys here. There's a lot of questions we have churning and are eager to try and cover as much as we can in the hour that we have together. But would love to start with a quick introduction, a little background from both of you as to what brought you here today. And then we're going to get into the meat of your fitness journey and your entrepreneurship. So Tori, why don't we start with you? Little background, please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here, and thanks for everyone who's joining today. My name is Tori Johnston, and I am currently the Chief Marketing Officer for AKT. AKT is a boutique fitness studio franchise. We're owned by Exponential Fitness, and Exponential Fitness is the largest curator of boutique fitness studios in the world. So AKT is a cardio-based dance workout, and is a really, really fun and effective way to meet your fitness goals. So I'm excited to tell you guys a little bit more about that and a little bit more about my background as well.
Great. Thanks, Tori. Mike.
Thanks for having me. My name is Mike Fata, based in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And I'm a natural products entrepreneur. I've been on a health journey for over 2 decades now and founded Manitoba Harvest Hemp Foods and just all health all the time. So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
I thought you said all hell all the time. All hell.
Probably that, a little bit of that
either
too.
one, do a little bit of all hell.
No, that's great, you guys. Let's stay with that, Mike, and actually we'll start with you if you could. I think many of us in the audience today, including Aaron and I, and Tori, I'm sure as well, have some knowledge of your personal fitness journey. Started 31 years ago, I believe, if I'm accurate with my timing, and how that just propelled you forward in down multiple paths. And we'd just love to start with your origin story. Like, what was your personal fitness wellness journey and what led you then to entrepreneurship? If you could give a little more context there, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up with a single mom, and we were pretty poor, and was one of the drivers, but at 13, I decided to drop out of school with my mom's support, and started working from there, but fell prey to fast food and wasn't educated about health and nutrition. And at 18 years old, found myself weighing 300 pounds and was sick and tired all the time. And that was the catalyst for me to change. And I got interested in health. I lost over 100 pounds, and through that learned a lot about diet and nutrition, and got fascinated with hemp and the nutrition that hemp seed offers. And then we started Manitoba Harvest when I was 21 years old. So it's been 25 years on the health journey so far.
That's amazing. And that was before hemp was like a thing, right? I mean, you hear it now much more often. So you did the research, the science, you applied that then to your own personal journey. That's fascinating. And we'll definitely talk a little bit more about Manitoba Harvest in a moment, Mike, because there's a lot there to discuss. Thank you. Tori, let's talk about your personal journey.
Great. I grew up as a dancer. I was always active in dance competitions and dance classes. And then I went to college and became a D athlete at the University of Kansas. I was on the women's rowing team and had a phenomenal experience representing that university and really, seeing the best in class when it came to college athletics. From there, I just kept my love of fitness going and really used it as, an outlet, as a community, and just as a hobby as I became a more mature adult. And I had always had a fascination with marketing and communications and studied that in school, but I didn't realize until I moved to New York City that I could really marry my passion for fitness and wellness to my career. And so at that point, I really joined forces and began working at SoulCycle when they were a few studios on the East Coast, and really put my passion for fitness and wellness into my career. And so I've been in the fitness industry now since 2011 and have watched the boutique fitness experience really explode in popularity and growth in the US and even around the world. So to me, it's my personal journey of loving fitness as an outlet, really, and spending all my time and energy doing that as my career as well.
That's great. And I would imagine articulating that comes naturally for you, certainly in your experience, your role now with AKT. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in terms of marketing and how that's authentic to you. So it makes it easier to have those discussions with customers. So thank you, Tori. That's great. Aaron, I know you got a question, many questions. But.
Well, yes. First, and this isn't necessarily on my list, but what does AKT stand for? Maybe you don't know, other than Aaron Keller team. I like, but
that's you. AKT stands for Anna Kaiser Technique, and AKT was founded by Anna Kaiser. She's a celebrity trainer in New York City, and back in 2013 in New York, this was the hottest new workout, and so we took that upon us to start franchising and have been able to open about 30 locations in the U.S. to date.
Awesome.
Cool. Anna Kaiser Technique, not Aaron Keller team. Okay. What do you love about the culture of the larger organization, or specifically your AKT team? What inspires you about that culture?
I mean, to me, it means that you are able to marry your passion for fitness and wellness with what you do every single day. It doesn't feel like a start and an end to your job. My job is really interwoven. There's no balance in it. It's really just part of what I do and what I love. So what I think one of the most important and inspiring things about the culture is really, the team that I work with. They are a product of the brand. They're a product of the time and energy that they spend in our studios with our franchise partners, with our trainers and our teams and our customers. And so most people on my team actually start their day with a dedicated fitness routine. We were talking about that right before this call started, but a lot of people here in our office and on my team specifically, start their day at 5:45 in the morning, taking an AKT class, talking to members, seeing people bright and early, grabbing their coffee, chit-chatting after class, and running home quick to shower, and then jumping here to the office to support the teams and think about their own experience and how they've just witnessed what AKT can do for your mind and your body, and then bring it right into their work day. And so to me, that's one of the most inspiring things about the culture here, and really across all of Exponential. That's definitely the most common way to start your day is with a fitness routine, which is pretty awesome. And so employee retention perspective, it's amazing, and it's promising at the same time. The team really, walks the walk and can talk the talk about the business because they see it through their own eyes.
Yeah, that's great. They're connected to the experience all the time. Yeah, that is so ideal. That works out really well. My next question is for Mike. And since you sold Manitoba Harvest, you've gone out and become an advisor to, from what I can estimate, at least 10 different brands, advisor and investor in 10 different brands that I think are all available to everyone on your LinkedIn profile if they want to go check them out, because it's really rather cool. It sets a profile of you by seeing the ones you've found to be interesting to go out and invest in, because obviously that's a personal choice. I'm curious which one of those is your favorite, though. I mean, let's really get down to it. Which one of all of them is
you're probably watching?
I'm wearing Midday Squares, so
Midday
Squares. Hard to pick a favorite, but today I'll say Midday Squares. I get asked, what's my investment thesis, and it's quite simple. It's products that I love to have in my house that I consume and my family consumes, and then entrepreneurs that I like hanging out with, and literally entrepreneurs that I would have in my house. And if those two align, I think there's a good business opportunity there.
Wow. Yeah, it's almost Warren Buffett-like. but in the natural and organic products versus in sugars, which is what he seems to be more into. Anyway, though we're not going to go down that road too far, right? Because you never know. We might have Warren Buffett on here someday, right, Kelly?
Maybe, perhaps.
Maybe,
Yes,
maybe
we'll
not.
see.
Kelly, take it away.
Yeah, and I'd love to, again, Mike, I'm going to start with you, and then Tori, would love your perspective. We talked a little bit in our previous conversation around the mindset shift. You talk about a journey from founder to investor to mentor to brand ambassador. Really, I think you could certainly say that. Can you both share your perspectives on that mindset shift across these roles or these types of experiences, and then a little insight into how perhaps they've impacted you both personally and professionally? Mike, can we start with you on that one?
For sure. It's a big question, but I think, and I'm a simple kind of guy. So I don't know if I've seen it too much. I don't know if I thought about it too different. As a founder, I'd say I'm a born entrepreneur and made CEO. Born entrepreneur is like I came from nothing, and so I got real good at creating something out of nothing, and that's what we do in business all day long. As it shifted, and I came into more of a role where I was advising other people or mentoring other people. I struggled with that at first, as maybe more in the imposter syndrome. Like, yeah, I've created success for myself, but who am I to tell someone else, what's going to create success for them?
Right.
But in the end, I would just, as an operator, as an entrepreneur, I simplified it to what would I do if I was in their situation? And let me just have a good understanding of your situation, your business, your industry, the challenges that you're facing. And then I'll tell you what I would do if I was in that situation. And so that's why I see a similarity across from entrepreneurship to being an investor or advisor or mentor.
That's great. Thanks for sharing those thoughts. And Tori, I think in the similar vein, your career, you've SoulCycle, then financial. It was a marketing role, but with a financial services or in the financial space, then back into AKT and other fitness and wellness channels. How would you describe the shift between even industries, and then how just the common thread perhaps between all of those roles?
Yeah, I've had a lot of time to reflect on my experiences throughout my career, and I started my career, a Fortune 500 company in the financial services industry in Minneapolis. I have a large commitment towards Minneapolis, and in that role, I really learned what it meant to be a professional in the workplace. I worked with people that I admired from afar, people that I got to hear speak, that I got to sit in meetings and really just observe what it was like to be a marketer and work at one of the largest companies in the country. And from there, I took all those professional experiences and were able to bring them to more of the startup entrepreneurial culture. When I joined SoulCycle, we were all wearing leggings to the office, and there were less than 100 employees, and we would spend all day, every day, really living and breathing the product. And so professionally, it might look different, but the way that you conduct yourself in business can really be the same. And so I definitely was able to, make that switch and love the entrepreneurial aspect of fitness. And so what I work on now is with a lot of AKT franchise partners. They have that same entrepreneurial mindset, like Mike was saying, something from nothing. They're building a fitness studio where there wasn't a fitness studio before. They're creating demand for dance cardio workouts where people didn't want to do dance cardio to work out. They wanted to go to a big box gym or something similar. And so, oftentimes I am working now and coaching with people that are in that entrepreneurial mindset, really setting themselves up for success and taking a big leap of faith that this is going to be the next, move in their personal career too. And so oftentimes they're making a personal career shift. They're not a lifelong franchisee, and they really want to, again, get back to mirroring their passion with their career.
That's great. And Erin, if I may, just really quickly with that, Tori, if you had to say, hear your thoughts too, what hard or soft skills for would-be entrepreneurs, certainly that you've garnered or have learned over the course of your careers, would you say are pretty critical, maybe even now, not 5 years ago, but now, present day, certainly coming out of the shifts in the pandemic? Tori, any thoughts on that?
I kind of always go back to that saying of you don't know what you don't know. And so really trying to understand what is out there that you would need to retain, learn, observe, to become better at what you can do or what the business is there to provide. Nobody is an expert in all aspects of business. And so you might come in, with a marketing experience, or you might have an accounting background. But if you're going to own and operate your own business, you definitely have to be open to learning things that you don't know. And so for me, that's been, kind of the way that I approach business and new challenges and scaling a business. You don't know every single hurdle that's going to come your way, or things that are going to, come up or come through your inbox. But being able to be open and really leaning on the people that might know the answers to those or might have better experience is really the way that I've been able to muscle through this.
That's great. Love it.
That's
Thank
great.
you. Mike, any thoughts on that? Hard, soft skills?
Yeah, I mean, down the same line as Tori, I think personal growth is key as an entrepreneur. I think about entrepreneurship like professional sport. You need to personally grow, improve yourself, improve your skills, or you're going to be losing the game. And that's why entrepreneurship's not for everybody. Some people just like to not be a trailblazer and do a lap that they know is on a daily basis is very similar, and so I think personal growth and that's what really excites me about entrepreneurship is that you fail or you struggle at something and you either give up or get better at it and come back fighting, and that's what makes it exciting every day.
Sure. So resilience and perseverance for sure, I would say, right? Pick yourself up.
Yeah, people talk about grit as being
Yeah. It is fascinating because you look at, the entrepreneurship side of things and the fact that in the franchise world, it seems like it's entrepreneurship in a box, but it's really not. You can't just take it out of the box and start, a business and be successful. You have to do the work. You have to be adaptable. It does teach you a lot of those entrepreneurial skills. Just happens to have one of the pieces taken care of for you, the model and the brand, perhaps. But that's really a fascinating conversation. We do have some questions coming in from our chat. The first one talking about real estate, which I've when it comes to franchises, are all the franchises typically real estate focused? Because there is that little. You go back to McDonald's and the whole Ray Kroc story, and the fact that when it flipped, it was when he figured out that it was a real estate play and not, a franchise store kind of play. But it doesn't seem like that's the case across all franchises, though.
It depends. Most of our current AKT franchisees own 2 to 3 franchise licenses on average. And so they're looking really to develop a territory, within a certain mile radius. And so it really depends on the density. I saw your question here, Jeremy, about, Chicago versus Ohio and, how much territory you own within that density of that population. And so most of our franchise partners are really looking to set up 1, 2, and 3 stores at a time, even, 5 or 10, so that all of those businesses feed off of one another, the team scale, the brand awareness scales, and then ultimately, you can shift resources where needed if you have multiple doors open. But when deciding, where those exact locations should be, we work with dedicated real estate teams locally to make sure that we're choosing the best option for fitness. And I would say the most interesting thing to me is that a lot of people are looking for the exact size spaces that we are. We're looking for about 2,200 square feet, and there's a lot of businesses that also want 2,200 square feet, and it's a pretty competitive market with vacancies even being pretty high now. A lot of people are looking for those same spaces, and so for us, finding the right space, being able to build it out accordingly, and in a fitness studio, making sure we don't disturb our neighbors with the sound.
Sure.
Loud music. I didn't think about that, of course.
Yeah.
Stipulations that are built in. Mike, I have to ask you about seeing inside organizations, because one of the greatest joys of being in our business is working across a variety of industries and a variety of categories and seeing inside a variety of cultures. And you can see really horrible cultures and you can see really beautiful, elegant cultures. And just you get to study them as we do the work we do. That's not part of the work, but it's almost the benefit of the work in a way by watching these cultures. I'm curious, as you're investing and advising, what are you seeing inside these cultures that intrigues you or inspires you inside these brands? And name the specific ones if you like, because I'd like to see, especially a couple of them, because I've talked to a couple of them in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
portfolios?
Every business is different. When I was an operator, and we built our culture off of quality as number one, and kind of all the way through the organization, quality product. We wanted to make the highest quality product, so there was no sacrifice. Any team member could kind of stop the line. The thought of the Toyota manufacturing method, but it went to quality relationships and how we treat each other and how we treat our customers and ultimate consumers. And so there's part of me as I went out and said, maybe that was the culture I was looking for in other businesses. And then I realized every business is different, and some has to do with obviously the product or the service that they're providing, but most of it has to do with the founders and the kind of tone that they're setting from the top. Just use Midday Squares as an example because they've really created that culture of tribalism, and that has, for a 3 or 4 year old business, has allowed them to scale very, very rapidly, faster than I scaled Manitoba Harvest back in the day, for sure. And you could see it; they put it out there for everyone to see. But internally, celebrating every win, whether it's a new team member joining the team and doing a song and dance and really commemorating that moment, or it's a new customer win, but their whole basis of culture is tribalism, and I like that. I think it is a gas and a fire at the same time.
Well, I like
Nice.
that. Tribalism.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to use that term. That's great. That's interesting. I'm going to shift for a second and talk a little bit about technology. And we're not transitioning. It is here. We are using technology in so many different ways. Certainly the pandemic itself forced a lot of shifts or pivots to digital platforms and how are we communicating with our teams. I'm curious about both of your experiences with regard to technology. How critical has it been for growth within your organizations, or Mike, in the case of those multiple brands? And can you tell us a little bit about how that's shown up within various areas of your business? And has it contributed to growth? Some of it's obvious, some of it may not be. So who wants to take that one first?
Yeah, I can start with that. It might be a little bit different in the membership model versus the product, that Mike's more familiar with. But when you have a membership or a fitness product that somebody wants to consume 4, 5, 6 days a week, our go to technology strategy is a little bit different than where somebody can click to purchase a specific item directly from a website, e-commerce. And so for AKT, a lot of what we do, our product is face to face, but we use wearable technology to bring that conversation to life. We use heart rate monitors and screens in the studio, and have really upgraded our app experience so people have ease of booking and have milestones and things that they can reach along the way to really help them in their fitness journey. But what I think has been most influential in the past few years is really our ability to do at-home workouts. And this really did happen with the pandemic, but right in March of 2020, we launched our at-home on-demand AKT platform. And so it's been rebranded now to be called Exponential Plus, and it's all of the Exponential brands. So all 10 fitness brands in one app where you could do at-home workouts, everything from a 5-minute stretch to a 30-minute dance cardio session to a boxing session at home or a yoga flow. And so really being able to bring people that love our experience to their home, to their living room, to their apartment has really been a great way for us to scale and grow. And even more so when we enter into new markets, we're able to see, how many users do we have in Chicago when we open there, and what's the propensity for us to want to attract more people that are interested in fitness. So that's been a use case for technology that we hadn't had until March of 2022, and really been able to use that to grow into markets.
That's great. No, it's been interesting to see in the fitness space specifically this hybrid model emerge. It's a very physical, in-person, high touch, but we need to have the option for how do you use technology. That's fascinating, Tori. Thank you. Mike, how about you? How about in the food space? Certainly there's supply chain, and that's getting to the weeds of technology there, but any other?
Yeah, for sure. Well, not only in the food space, but I'm a manufacturer and very bullish on manufacturing. So there's been a lot of technology along the whole value chain, and one of them just came in as a question. But as a manufacturer, training has been key. We use a program like Alchemy that when someone comes on and they start to learn manufacturing on the shop floor level, that there's a whole suite of lessons that they must take before they actually join, and that's more to the good manufacturing practices and the Global Food Safety Initiative and the training, but same to the full quality management system and taking and digitizing that so that it's not. It used to be a big binder of papers, your SOP, standard operating procedures, and all these different things. And now you can just, there's a tool for that, and a great one. Same thing with lean and lean manufacturing, but also lean office. I'm a big fan of lean office, and Microsoft Office suite kind of is one example of it. But Slack and other communication tools that just make it easy to share throughout the office. And since we're on, and I haven't been a big, I wasn't on social media before 2 years ago, and so I've taken social media, and I see social media as a technology that for entrepreneurs and especially founders can share their story, create that personal brand, create that connection with their business, and we're living in that day and age that I think you need to do that to break out.
For sure. So you're extending that reach. So it sounds like it's two-pronged. It's optimizing operationally to a degree, but also just that transparency and extending how you're connecting with consumers and customers. It's fascinating to see that continue to evolve. Thank you guys for sharing.
Yeah, Mike, you do a lot on LinkedIn. I've been impressed by what you put out there on LinkedIn a lot.
I appreciate that. Abundance. I used to, when I was in the brand business, when I wasn't working, I wanted to be home with the family and hiding under the covers. And so I was like, I had no interest in social media. The business was on social media, but I personally wasn't. And when the pandemic started, I missed and our biggest trade show got canceled, and missed all of our friends and seeing like what's the new products and what's happening. And I really just reprogrammed it in my mind to think about LinkedIn as a 24/7 trade show. And I love trade shows. And then I started to put myself out there as I would at a trade show, like walking by someone's booth and saying, hey, nice to see you, or great new product, or congrats on that award. We're doing that all digitally now. And I found it both a form of therapy for myself, but your community will, I think whoever your community is, your community will crowd around you when you start putting yourself out there. And so I'm a big believer in LinkedIn, bullish on LinkedIn for sure.
Like that.
That's cool.
That's great. Yeah.
We like that a lot. We like that. So another bit of a shift, but related. The purpose of business has been changing, even down to the Business Roundtable changing what the definition is of the purpose of business, and flipping this and talking about purpose-driven organizations, purpose-driven brands, purpose-driven business in general. I'm curious your opinion on that, Tori, and how that relates to what you do. It seems to be baked right in, but sometimes what I see is different, and you even go farther with it, which I'm very curious about your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think it's unique even in the franchising world when people think about the different franchises that they could own. You could own a dry cleaning service, you could own childcare, you could own a fitness franchise, and not to say that any one of those are good or bad, but it's really about, what do you want from that business opportunity and how does it align with your life? And so a lot of people come to AKT and come to Exponential because they're looking to make that change. And so for us, the idea that you can be healthy, that you can have a fitness routine, that you can provide jobs for people that also love fitness and wellness and performance, and making that a part of your team and your core. But it's also a product that you enjoy every day. Hopefully you live nearby the studio that you own or that you can visit often. Has really allowed us to connect the purpose-driven part of the organization to all of our franchise partners that are really operating for us across the country. And so continuing to bring that together, continuing to speak regularly, to have our annual conventions, goals and really, celebrate all those wins like we talked about before, big or small, has made our business more purposeful. And then when I think about, the consumer at the end of the day, people come to AKT because they want to look and feel their best, but they really leave feeling with that sense of community that is so much deeper than I think they ever came for. Our trainers, our staff, and our teams are really the ones that are championing people to make those changes in their life or to continue to do the things that make them happy and make them feel good in their own bodies and their own skin. And so that part of the purpose-driven approach, I think, is really it comes secondarily, but it's probably even more important. And that's why people stay. We know that's why people stay as customers, because they love their experience and they can't imagine their life without, an AKT class 4 or 5 days a week.
Yes.
Damn, I think Kelly and I want to buy a franchise.
I was like, I'm inspired.
Let's
do it.
I'm like telling the blog.
Let's do it.
We can point you in the right direction, but it's a pretty cool way to make a step in your career. I mean, a lot of people have said, I was a corporate executive, but now I want to spend more time with my kids, but I also want to be able to, grow and develop a team that is providing something that I personally like to do as well. So that's where I think boutique fitness franchising has really taken off.
Yeah.
Yes, believe it.
Great.
Sure.
Mike, do you have a perspective on the purpose-driven brands or purpose-driven business? It seems like
for sure.
Yeah.
After I realized that my passion was health and made the health changes, I realized that my purpose was to help share health with the world, and it was very physical for me when I was on a no-fat diet at first and almost killed myself cutting all the fat out of my diet, then learned about the essential fatty acids, then fell in love with hemp because it's the queen or king of essential fatty acids. So it started like that, but then I realized that sharing that message of health just is a way that we make this world a healthier place. So that's kind of true, and I think there's alignment there with Tori's business career as well. But I think a little step further, and we've been a long-standing B corporation of like, what's the purpose of business in general? And it's the triple bottom line approach to business. I know businesses need to be profitable to be sustainable, but it's really about people and planet or social and environmental responsibility. And so whether you are a B Corp, which kind of measures and scores and is a third-party certification to the triple bottom line, or you're just choosing those practices, I think that's, more than ever, consumers are voting with their dollars. They want to support companies that are having a positive impact on the planet and making it a healthier place. So I'm a big believer in that. And most of the portfolio companies now that I'm invested in are on some part of that sustainability journey. Either they're certified or they're taking the necessary steps to get there.
Love that. That's great.
I know. It's great. We got a couple of questions coming in around education and growing a team. I don't know if you want to take those, Kelly.
Yeah, no, I'd love to actually hear from both of you around that. I mean, we touched on culture and that piece of building a team and the authenticity that comes with that. But maybe you can give a little more detail around how do you create those connections between team members to not only lead to business success, but also build that team. I'm not going to use the word loyalty, but there is a piece of community. I think community is a better word. Any tips, tricks, strategies that you could share with us today?
Yeah, I can share. I mean, I do think the world that we've lived through in the past few years of connecting with your team virtually has given us all a little bit of a pause to really evaluate our leadership styles. And when I can come back to my, core principles as a leader within my team, or even just at an organization at large, it really comes down to, your entire team having that clarity of what their role is and how they contribute to the organization, and then having that stability in their job, that they're not worried about their job being eliminated the next day, or they're not worried about the ability to make a decision that might have impact in a way that's unknown. And then really getting in that rhythm, being able for your team to really take that ball, run with it, pass it to the next person, and get in that rhythm so that what you're good at doing, you can do all day, every day, over and over and over again. And that's where I've really seen, scale start to take off. And that's where everyone feels more efficient. They feel proud of their work. They feel like they can do something and that they really have ownership over it. So it kind of repeats that cycle all back to having, that clarity, stability, and rhythm that I think really produces the most wholesome and best led teams.
For sure. And that sense of community, certainly we know it impacts our overall well-being. So being aware of that within your team, that's great, Tori. Thank you. Mike. thoughts?
Yeah, similar. I think instead of acting like an owner or acting like a manager, act as the protector of the core values of the business. And I think what Tori just spoke through there was like, in Manitoba Harvest, transparency and trust and quality and can-do attitude, and there were things that were really important to the business. And so my job was to be the protector of those core values. And I thought the same of our managers as well. Instead of disciplining people, like show them why those core values are important to the business and uphold them themselves. And that's how you really create true culture and get everyone working on the same page and feeling safe and in the environment to do their best, even if that is failing at the same time.
For sure. And leading by example, you both said that. I mean, I think it's a critical piece. Yes, thank you. Great question, Lynn.
Yes, thank you for that. We do have to cover this thing called the pandemic, even though I'm not sure when we're going to be out of it or what that means anymore. But it was fascinating as we're talking about health journeys and how many organizations like Tori is in, it became illegal, where organizations that fed us became essential. The other ones became not essential, which is very odd to me as we reflect back on that. But there are other entrepreneurs out there that their business became illegal overnight, which is really horrifying. But obviously you've survived. But what are you seeing now? Are people getting off their Peloton and going back? Are things looking better? Are things scaling?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to talk about the pandemic, right? And especially at the point in a business like AKT, where we are opening new stores every month at this point, we definitely, the COVID hit the fitness industry really difficultly. It was something that we didn't expect, and it was obviously threw us for a loop. But that being said, we were able to immediately pivot to a virtual and outdoor workouts. I think it gave people a lot of flexibility in the ways that they could still, interact with our product and our teams. I think what they missed most was seeing each other. I think that community aspect is what they were really longing for, even though they could still figure out how to sweat and burn calories on their own. It was really that community aspect. So we were able to, quickly pivot to that, but then come back into the studio with open arms. The second that we could actually host classes in our physical studios, people were, banging down the doors to come back. And so the silver lining is that our business has really recovered since COVID to pre-COVID numbers, and we continue to expand across the country. So I still think people are going to want to come into boutique fitness studios to work out. If there is another wave of a pandemic or something similar, I think we'll continue to prevail through that, just because people are prioritizing their health and wellness and well-being, and they want to, nourish their mind as well as their body. They need that human connection to really push themselves forward to reach whatever their fitness goals are. And so I do think that there's a place for outdoor workouts and at-home workouts, but there will always be a place for, group fitness in this industry.
Yes,
I agree. It's nice. The community, the competitiveness, just even the subtle little natural competitiveness that shows up.
The accountability, right?
Accountability, yes.
Tomorrow at 6 a.m, you didn't just, sleep in and not do your at-home workout. It's that true accountability partner that you have in a trainer or a friend that comes to the gym with you.
Yeah. A different question for Mike. How do you keep doing it? How do you keep, I know that, the origin story and all this stuff, I've been through a period of time in my life as well. And some days I get asked that question of like, how do you keep going? How do you keep motivated? What gets you up in the morning, right? To keep being a fitness junkie and living healthy.
I love what I do. What gets me up in the morning is usually going down to the gym and working out, and then helping others. I really, I've success as an entrepreneur. I feel like, use a sports analogy, that I raised the Stanley Cup up over my head a couple of times, and it felt really, really good to do that after a couple of decades of work to get there. I want that for everybody, and so I'm fascinated with other entrepreneurs, especially people that are positioning themselves to better themselves, to learn their skill or trade, and just constantly improve there. I want nothing more. I wish I could spend one-on-one time with each one of those people to give them my full support. Obviously that's, it's not possible. I do a lot of it. I've spoken to over 1,000 entrepreneurs over the last 2 years, and just having strategy chats with them and being helpful. And now I've created some more what I'd call mass mentorship tools with fatafleischman.org and our founder your podcast, but I just want people to be successful. I want people to be happy. That fires me up. My emotional cup doing that is more than full. And then on the very personal side, I need to keep busy. I have a very high capacity to do things, and if I'm not busy, I get myself into trouble pretty easily, and I don't want that for myself. So,
are we talking prison kind of trouble? Are we talking?
never been in prison. Well, it's like
We're gonna jump there to prison.
It's all too easy to like fill the mind and fill the day and with other stuff that is that's less productive. I think we all can do that. So I like if I have a pretty set schedule to live my best day ever, and a big part of that, probably 2 to 3 hours a day, is health and wellness, and a big part of that is helping other people as well.
That's great. Your passion's evident, Mike. I mean, I've watched a couple of listened to a couple of the podcasts, and just the way you tell your story, and you can tell. I mean, it is authentic, and I think that motivates people in a number of ways. So it's great. Love hearing that. Yeah. I'd love to, and you don't have to name brands by name if you'd rather not, but I am curious if either of you have perspectives on, some of the most innovative brands that come to mind in the health and wellness space, or maybe some best practices that you're seeing in the industry that are inspiring to you. Anything come to mind? Brand or...
What I've noticed in health and wellness, or at least more in the gym specific area, is that people have tried to do everything. Big box gyms were definitely popular. They're like a country club setting of, you can work out, drop your kids off, swim, eat, dry clean, all of those things. What I've noticed is that it's really hard to be good at all of those things. And so where boutique fitness comes in is really being good at one thing and delivering it over and over and over again to the people that want your product. And so I've noticed that trend where people are starting to really focus in on one modality. And I think that's what we've built here at Exponential. AKT is a dance-based cardio workout. We have a different boxing brand. We have a different yoga brand. There's a different bar brand. And we can all be sister brands in the same shopping center and allow for different experiences and really cater to different clients that might even have overlap as well. But rather than trying to do it all and offering 10 workouts, it's really, really good at one thing and doing it over and over and again. So maybe it's similar in the food industry. Maybe there's not one super product that everyone's supposed to eat or do or consume. It's really having those one specific product that has a place in your diet or your routine. I'm not sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Tori.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, segmentation of the consumer, I think, is getting more and more. If I think about the health food industry from a food standpoint, it's either a need state, which people are going at energy, immunity, sleep, and buying products that are supporting that, or they're trends that are longstanding, like plant-based is obviously a big one, organic, low sugar products, high protein, and I think those the segmentation of those products within those categories is just more and more. If you go to since I started in the industry 25 years ago, there was a couple SKUs of soy milk on the shelf. Now go to your grocery store and half of it is dairy and the other half is non-dairy, and you can get coconut, soy, almond, oat, hemp. You can get every milk that you possibly want. I think every category we're going to see that transition into more and more of a healthier product with these trends, and then also need states built into that.
Right. No, it's interesting because consumers almost demand it in the friendliest of ways, I'm sure. But yes, so segmenting, that's important.
Because the omni-channel approach to a brand, like you could sell your brand anywhere, consumers can get it online or get it at Amazon before they go into a store. It is intensifying that selection. The consumer demand mechanism is stronger than ever with social media and the omni-channel approach.
For sure. Yeah. No, thank you both.
Yep. That's great. I do want to talk about the aura ring that you have on, and just to get your perspective on that. I know it's a little bit of a selfish piece of the conversation, but this group of guys that I hang out with that are developing a new model, a number of them use that, and I have not tipped into that yet. I figured the Apple Watch does all that I need for that, but now I'm more and more curious about it. Tell me more about what you see with that.
Yeah.
What kind of data?
Yeah. And, I've been, I think it's almost 3 years now, geeking out about my sleep. I've always known that sleep is important, but I didn't know a lot about the quality of sleep. And I read the book Why We Sleep. I think is a good resource if anyone's kind of wants to jump into the realm of sleep. And then you can't improve what you don't measure. It's that simple, right? And so getting some diagnostics like last night I slept 8 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours. That was deep sleep. It was a great night for me because yesterday I worked out well. I ate dinner early. I didn't eat after that. My room was nice and cold. It was pure dark. I stayed away from a blue screen. All these things that will promote my better sleep hygiene. And I've just learned that from having diagnostics and seeing, and then also, I like the fact that it tracks my heart rate and can track some of my workouts in there as well. And you're right. There's a lot of tools that do it. I've just never been a guy to wear a watch around my wrist. So the Fitbit or the Apple Watch or the Whoop strap all do similar. And so I fell in love with the Oura rings. I like rings, but I never remember that, that I have it on and it provides all this value for me.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
the technology's gotten so much better, like the bot for biometrics, and it's interesting to see how that helps you create a roadmap. You're right, Mike. I mean, you have to understand the behaviors to be able to change and better them and better your overall wellness. So interesting.
Yeah. Sleep hygiene. Man, that's fascinating. Of course, I want to ask the sleep question of Tori if she's willing to disclose why she's not getting a lot of sleep right now.
I was before the call. I feel like it's a rude question to ask. It's because I have a 1-year-old.
Sorry, we didn't mean to
extremely busy. No, I would actually probably benefit from learning a lot more about, where I can get the sleep and when I can get it and how it would affect my day. But I have a 1-year-old son at home who I run all over the place with, and he is definitely my physical fitness routine myself, and he's probably the reason for my lack of sleep too. But in all due time, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
A design question for you, Tori. The idea of experience design, and you're the center of the experience design world, and the kind of things you design motivate people to change their lives, which is a rather important experience design. But overall, what role does it play in the organization? How is it talked about? Or is it talked about a lot or not?
It definitely is talked about a lot. And it was even more, prominent in our conversations. We were designing what AKT Studios would actually look like when we were opening them. We began to franchise. Again, we're talking about that 2,200 square foot space. How do we make that a place that people want to come and feel comfortable? And so for us, it's the dark lighting, it's the disco mirror ball turned on, it's really great music and a loud playlist that really makes somebody feel like they can get lost in their fitness routine or in their dance cardio workout and not worry about the way that they look in the mirror. They're not checking for their form up close, and there's not bright lighting that makes them feel like today is not a good day. And so really setting the tone of, a dance club or a dance workout was really what we were looking for when we were designing the physical space. And then how we think about that now is really, how do our consumers walk into the space? What do they see when they walk in? Do they check out our retail boutique? Do they have access to clean filtered water? And do they really find, the equipment that they need on their own time to adjust their workout? So for example, you could grab a heavier set of weights, or you can grab a different color band that has a different strength level to it, so that you can really set yourself up for that day and that time. Those things were definitely thought through and are still really curated when it comes to the overall fitness experience. But ultimately, we want people to feel comfortable. We want them to feel like they can access the product, they can come and be the best version of themselves and leave feeling like they're going to go, set forth for the rest of the day.
Love that.
That's great.
Designed experience, yes.
Yes. And Mike, you seem to have an affection for design through the brands that you invest in, at least the ones I've noticed. And one in particular, Dream Pops, probably the most design-driven brand I've seen in the category of natural organic products, just all the way down to the actual pops. The design of the physical product is a rather compelling, fascinating artifact. Curious about how it's played a role, or if you've noticed it, or if not a big deal, or what?
No, for sure. I've learned a tremendous amount about marketing. As a high school dropout, I always thought if I ever went back to school, it'd be for marketing to really understand it. And I've learned practically through having some great marketing folks around me over the last couple decades in business, and you have to differentiate yourself, especially in any product business, but in the food business for sure. You have to jump out off the shelf. You have to invite consumers to pick you up, learn more about you, take you home. Hopefully enjoy the actual taste of the product, but then want to be so proud about it and show it off. When we used to market hemp hearts as shelled hemp seeds, and then we created the hemp heart brand and design. And the moment we did, literally, the sales were 4 or 5x. Same shelf, same retailer, 4 times the sales the next week after we launched it. And I learned a lot about a brand has to stand out, and this is what it means monetarily to the brand to get it right. And so now I have that founder's eye and the experience. And so when I could tell the products I want to have in my own house, and again, like what I'm excited to tell my neighbor or my friends and family about, and actually show them the package. So I think design is obviously critical in that.
Mike, do you get the best design pantry in all of Manitoba?
I wish I was that neat, but no, my pantry and my fridge is like a health food store. That's for sure.
Yeah,
there you go. I wouldn't expect anything less. Yeah.
Right.
This is going to sound like a simple question, this is not a value proposition question, but more of your perspective on. And Mike, I'm going to use Manitoba Harvest as the brand we'll focus on with this question, and obviously AKT for you, Tori. But what role do you see both of those brands playing in people's lives? And there can be a multifaceted response to that, or a simple, here's the role that I see these brands playing in people's lives. Tori, you want to take that one first?
Yeah. I mean, to me, AKT can be a place for people of true belonging and transformation. And it doesn't necessarily have to be physical transformation. We have members who come to us for a new fitness routine. They want to do something different. They maybe have been in a rut. They've recently had a child, or they're just looking to have a different routine. But they can leave feeling transformed. And it really is that sense of self. It's that sense of confidence that they can be better throughout their day. So we find a lot of the transformation is not just physical, but it is mental as well. And so having AKT be that place where people can have a true belonging and feel like they're a better version of themselves, to me, is so important. There's a lot of people out there who don't see themselves in a big box gym. They think, I'm not a gym rat, or I've never been part of that community, or I don't look like those people that go to that place. But to us, none of that matters. It's how you feel when you leave AKT. And to me, that's really what we're offering. And that's the role people can play in people's lives.
Love that. Holistic transformation. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Mike, how about Manitoba Harvest?
Yeah, I mean, helping people be healthier. The reality of hemp hearts, because of the omega-3 and omega-6 essential fatty acids and the plant-based protein, and maybe some of the things in hemp that we haven't even studied yet or understand, but have true efficacy for consumers. And I realized that, the early on in our business, and it was one of the things that really kept me going as an entrepreneur in the early years, when I was like, this is not going to work. It's too hard. I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. We'd get calls and testimonials from senior citizens that are saying they're eating hemp hearts and their arthritic conditions are less, or their skin is better, or their energy levels are up, or their digestion is better. And so I think why people are lifelong customers of Manitoba Harvest is just that there's efficacy in the product, and then there's an enjoyment in the taste and as well, but making people healthier. I eat 5 pounds of hemp hearts. It's been 24 years now of eating 5 pounds of hemp hearts a month. I don't get paid to say that anymore. It's just part of my wellness routine, and I would be lost without it. And I also eat, flaxseed and chia seeds and other sources of fatty acids. But the experience and the efficacy of hemp hearts is just it's something that hopefully consumers are they find it and will include it in more of a lifelong journey.
Sure. So there's true tangible benefits, right, to the brand and product. Got it.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's good to hear. I've met an old, very experienced, very senior leader at IBM, and the day he left, he walked into an Apple store and bought all Apple products, and because he couldn't do it ever before that, and I thought that was really fascinating. But you obviously did not. You stuck to where you are. we always are curious about what people are consuming as far as media. So books you've read recently, Mike, you've already mentioned Why We Sleep. I'd be curious if something you've read recently or something you want to read that you've seen that's on your list that our listeners can go seek out. Tori, do you have something?
I also love to read. I'm a crazy reader. I do a little less of that now, again, with my 1-year-old than I used to. But I read the book Radical Candor that I loved during COVID about giving direct feedback. And I think that's really important. And so for me, that's been a shift in the way that I had my Minnesota Nice on.
Oh, nice.
And the way that I would give feedback to be very direct in the moment. And so that's been a shift in my personal leadership approach that I've really, learned and put into practice since reading that.
Yeah. The Minnesota Nice can be a little bit passive aggressive, which is kind of ugly.
It can.
To just be direct.
Yeah, bury the lead. Back to my journalism school, it's like, you have to put the golden nugget in there somewhere. And I think the Minnesota Nice approach would be to bury that. But after spending many years in New York and now being in Southern California, being more direct has helped me achieve better results and really, be more open to the people on my team.
That's great.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Mike, I've got to think you've got something on your bedstand that you're reading.
I love to read. I think it's it's part of that continuous improvement. I think last year was a really good year for me as part of the pandemic. I read probably 25 books, and so I got super excited about repeating that. And then for 2022, I probably bought 25 books, and maybe I'm 4 or 5 in right now. But I've been writing my own book, and so I've been reading the manuscript and different chapters of it, and it's been taking up more time. But I just got back into some of Tim Ferriss's work, and I usually go back and forth between personal health and wellness books, and then business books as well. Never too old to learn something. Ben Greenfield also has some great material that he's sharing out to the world.
That's great. Mike, when are we going to see the book?
Yeah,
it launches early 2023. So if you go to mikefata.ca, you can sign up for and be notified when the book drops. And there's going to be some cool contests and stuff around it. So,
Any sneak peek of what the content will entail? I think I have a guess.
You could probably look at my LinkedIn profile and post, and then get a good sense of what the book's going to be about. But origin story, how people can win and entrepreneurs can win through an unconventional path. I think people get a little bit too fixated that you need to grow up with a certain kind of family life, and then go to school, and then graduate and get a degree, and then meet the person that you love, and settle down and get into a career. And have it all perfect. And the reality is 99% of people that's not happening for. And it's okay to take an unconventional path. It's okay to not have figured out what you're doing and take all these bites into things that you want to explore and test. It's okay to be an entrepreneur and just go out there with no roadmap and no resources. And I really wanted to share parts of that and parts of my journey with the world.
That's great.
Love that.
Looking forward to that book.
Yeah. The unconventional path is becoming the conventional path. It's the more traveled road now, which is really rather fascinating. I feel like we're going to walk away from this and go out and buy some midday squares. Go out and get some Manitoba Harvest. Buy a franchise, perhaps. I feel very motivated coming out of this discussion, or at least go to one of the special gyms, because I'm not sure if many of your franchises are actually here in the Twin Cities.
Not yet.
Look back on the list. Not yet. Or even the other ones. Coming soon, yes. It's coming soon because Kelly and I are going to buy one. This was a wonderful conversation.
It was.
Thank you both for doing this and taking the time and inspiring, entertaining, and educating our audience. We had a lot of questions, which was always good to see, always a good sign. Any other thoughts, Kelly, to wrap us up?
No, I'll just share with the audience, and I know we mentioned this to Tori. Mike, we will have a full recording of this session for those that I know have FOMO who couldn't make it today live. It will be on Capsule's YouTube channel. So you can check it out there. Obviously, streaming will live on LinkedIn for a while. But this was great. This is just a wonderful conversation, very insightful. Thank you guys for being so forthcoming with personal and professional nuggets of truth. This is great. So thank you again for joining us. This is a great
Thanks so much
conversation.
for having us. It's so nice to be on the panel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Thanks, Kelly.
You got it.
Thanks so
Thanks, you
much.
guys. All right. Have
Thanks,
a good
Mike.
weekend. Take care.
Have a great
All
day.
See you
Thanks.
all.